Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's Thursday evening, and you're live with me, Danielle, better known as Danielle The Happy Medium. So, for them who don't know me, I'm better known as Danielle The Happy Medium. It's a pleasure to be back. I bet you missed me last week. I missed you, but something got in the way, as life does, and one thing and another. I am a very busy lady with family and these types of things. So, yeah, unfortunately, last week was sort of put on hold, but I am back this week to talk about all things spiritual, to talk about all things development, mediumistic and psychic, to talk about things that is the burning question inside of you. So I'm always happy to answer them questions for you as the stream's just starting to kick in and people are getting notifications. It's always a pleasure to be here live on YouTube chatting to you a lot about all them things. Christine's in, so good evening, Christine. Thank you very much for your comment. Please do give the video a like. It certainly helps with the algorithm in regards to YouTube. Sorry, I was actually doing a live on YouTube on Facebook on Tuesday night, I think. So I get a bit. Do forgive me. I can get a little muddled up from time to time, but yes, certainly do give the video a likes up, and it'll help with the algorithm on YouTube. Certainly, let me know how it sounds. Let me know how the picture is. If it's certainly not in any way, shape, or form any good, I can certainly tinker with that before we get cracking. Misty Honey's in. Hiya, Danielle. Hello, Jamie. I hope you've got some burning questions. Sarah's in as well. So good evening, Sarah. Long time no see. I hope you're well and I hope you're keeping okay. Vicky's in as well. She's saying afternoon. Hope you're doing well. I certainly am. I'm very, very well indeed at the moment. So thanks for asking, Vicky. And I hope everybody here on the stream is also. Christian saying, loving the makeup. Oh, well, thank you. That's a nice compliment to give me. I'm very grateful for that compliment, and certainly all looks awesome. Thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, I'm, constantly trialing new things and doing new things. You're going to be seeing some new things in the next couple of weeks here with the channel as we start to get very sort of high tech and very sort of digital. I have certainly been very busy in the background. There is some stuff starting to appear behind the back of me, but that will become more and more prominent as the weeks go on. You're certainly going to be liking the things that I'm doing. If you don't, we are going to be going back to using the whiteboard. I did mention this a couple of weeks ago. And I'll certainly mention it again. So yeah, we're going to be going back to doing a lot of sort of written ones as well as me talking. So very sort of interactive live streaming here, and certainly giving a lot more bits and pieces. So I look forward to you joining me, and I certainly look forward to you continuously getting involved with the channel. If you haven't already subscribed, then certainly please do. Certainly watch the content. It's there. It's free. It's available to you. Certainly do share this video around to a few groups or maybe on your walls or whatever it is that you do. I'm not so sure what you do, I've got to be honest. And a few people just joined as well. So Misty Honey saying looks awesome. Thank you for that. Lasha Mac, I hope I've got your name right there. Do forgive me if I have not. And Silver Songbird is in as well. So I will open the floor to you, lovely lot. So you've got an opportunity to certainly start and type your questions in the chat box, and certainly I will do my very best to answer them. Now, I cannot say that I know everything. In fact, I progress to know very little because I'm always learning, always growing, and always evolving. What I say here is an interpretation of my thoughts and feelings, my development, and an understanding and awareness that I have of the spiritual world. It is not always true, right, and accurate, and it is always open to your interpretation of how you take that information. So I hope that sort of gets the little sort of jargon out of the way. As much as I hate to use the YouTube channel for promotions, I tend to try and stay away from it if possible. Let me just give you a rundown of some of the classes I have coming up in the next couple of weeks. My beginner's mentorship is now sold out, so thank you very much to everybody who booked on that. I have a general mentoring which covers all topics in mediumship and the mediumship umbrella. That will be, there's 2 spaces left on that one. I have a couple of 6-week classes coming in March morning time, and then April's only with a couple of spaces left on each, and a brand new beginners coming back in again, as many have asked for it. That is available starting June. You can find all of these things at www.theoddbod School of Mediumship. A new live has also gone up on Facebook if you want to see us over there as well. Certainly check out the page, Instagram, you know, the general social media platforms where you can ask me questions. You can sort of get in touch with me. If I'm not available, one of the staff will certainly get back to you, and then I'll certainly try and endeavour to get back to you as well there also. If you want to email me, the email address is running along the banner at the bottom. Certainly do get in touch with your thoughts and feelings in regards to the YouTube channel and everything else to go with it. That is it with the jargon. I gotta be honest, that's it. I'm not getting into it anymore. Thank you very much to them who are liking. Thank you very much to them who are just joining in. Sarah saying, yes, thanks Danielle, missed you, no phone. I don't do private sittings anymore. I stopped doing private sittings a little while ago, subsequently because of I'm just so busy in other areas. So, but if I do release them, they'll always be released via the Facebook page. And I never say never. I have to be honest with you on that one, Sarah. But certainly keep an eye out on the Facebook page. Vicky's saying, where is your book? Where is my book available? My book is here. So this is my brand new book. I released my first book, The Natural Medium, in 2018. This is my second book, Freestyling Mediumship, and then I have my new book coming out at the end of the year. I'm very, very busy with writing material at present. This book it's getting great reviews on Amazon. It covers all sorts of, it's a very different take on mediumship. It has a lot of development in it. It has what I call a development centre. This will be in all of my books, a development centre. Around about in the middle section, there's some really handy little sections here for notes, so you can rewrite and sort of go back and look at it again. There's some really, really helpful hints and tips. There's some of my personal stories in here. I talk about some of the subjects that many people will not talk about. That again is open to your interpretation. But yeah, there's some of my personal stories in here as well. You will have a little bit of a giggle. Some of the boo-boos I've made is also in here as well. So yeah, if you want to get this book, it's available via Amazon. If you're in the United States, it's available across other digital platforms. Barney and Noble, I think, or Nobles, I think that's one of them. Apple, it's available across a lot of you. So certainly check this one out. Let me know what you think. Leave me a review on Amazon. I look forward to helping the minds of many there. So certainly check that one out. So yes, Vicky, what are the exercises in it? All different exercises, I've got to be honest with you, Vicky. Let me have a look. So there's some about guides, there's some developing the clairs, there's some about, I'm just having a look here. A lot of this is for those who are struggling to develop in groups. So this book's a very good, what I call development on your own book. But the development of the clairs, there's development of, let me have a look, development of the clairs. I can't even remember what I've put in it because I've been busy thinking about the other one. Guide, sit in the power techniques. What else is in here? Shift of the mind. So I talk about that quite heavily here on the channel. I do classes on shift of the mind and the blend. Spiritual philosophy. So there's exercises on how to do spiritual philosophy and do it well. For those who are maybe doing the platform arena or doing church work. Ones with all sorts of different development areas. I've got to be honest with you, Vicky. It covers many different aspects. And like I say, it's got these lovely little note sections in here. So you can sort of jot down, because I know myself when I've read books and that there's some things I like to write, or I'll sort of make a note of it and double back, and then I write it on bits of paper and I sort of lose it, and I'm like, oh well, what use of that is to me, you know what I mean? And I think if you put in pencil, you can sort of rub it out and then you can sort of go back. the book's really what I would call a go back to book, so you can try the exercises and then go back to them and try them again and see how you develop with them and see how you progress with your mediumship. I love this book. It was one of my favorites, especially after the book I did the first one. It wasn't, the first one was never as good as what I would have hoped for, but it was okay. It was okay. But this one is certainly an extra step up, and the one coming at the end of the year is again an extra step. I've got quite a lot of ideas with written content and written books, but this one here by far is one of this one's my favourite so far. But that's only because I've got two out right. So check it out. Anyway, check it out. Great question, Vicky. Thanks very much for that one. Anyway. Let's have a look. So Alicia is asking, I have been seeing clear shadows when sitting in nature. Is there a sign that I'm getting closer to spirit? So clear spirits, I've talked about this on the channel, and I'll certainly talk to you a little bit about it as well. It's about where we see energy. Now, many of us see energy in different formats. Some people see them as dark shadows, some people see them as light shadows. If you are seeing the spirit world, then you've moved your mind, and therefore you have that connection with the spirit world. Are you getting closer to them? It depends on whether or not you're interacting with that particular said energy. So if you're seeing it out in nature, are you talking to it, and is it talking to you back? So my answer to you is I need a little more on that. If it's answering you back, then yeah, there's an opportunity to blend and an opportunity to give communication. The only issue with that one is who to give the communication to. So normally 9 times out of 10, using the intelligence that is available to you from the spirit world, when we see any energy or any loved one, the spirit world, you are very close parameters to somebody which that energy will belong to, because that intelligence is always being used every time from the spirit world. But in answering short to your question, yeah, it's a possibility that you're getting closer, but the fact that you're seeing clear shadows is just seeing energy, and that's how it's perceived through your mind. There's no right or wrong there. It's always open to interpretation. Next time you might see a dark one. Next time you might see ones with blue in, green in. You know, it all depends. I mean, I think I've told this story and I'll tell it again. I worked with a guide very much in my early days. Pure energy. Had no, was not of the human world. It was of another realm, what we call an angelic realm. And many people will maybe not agree with that. That's okay. I don't really mind one way nor the other. I'm only talking from a personal experience. And this particular guide was multicolored, had pinks, blues, greens, all sorts in it. So for me, I've got to be honest with you, energy can be seen in many different formats, in many different colours. And the best thing to do is keep an open mind and just be happy to work with that and see the spirit world from another experience, because after all, it's all about the experience and the journey and building your database and knowledge. I wish you the very best of luck with that one, and I hope your mediumship continues to move from strength to strength. So I hope I answered the question a little bit there for you. Karen's in. Evening, Karen. I hope you're well up there in Bonnie, Scotland. Silver Song saying, ooh, do you know I'm ready? I'm getting good feedback of late. Ooh, do I know? I'm ready. I've been getting good feedback late. Okay, what do you mean? Do I know I'm ready? What do you mean by ready? What do you mean by that, Silver Songbird? Let's explain that a little bit more, and then I could certainly take a look at that. Hazel's in. Hiya, Hazel. Nice to have you here with us. Hazel's also saying she's halfway through the book. I hope you're enjoying the book. I certainly hope it's been very beneficial to you. Sarah's saying, well, I don't know what's happened with me. I keep hearing people calling me and asking who they are, and they never answer me. They don't. Right. Well, then, when we're working with the spirit world, or when we're working with a communicator, or working with an energy within the spiritual world, if we're asking it a question, it's gonna answer you back. It's got an intelligence in it. That's what the intelligence of the spirit world is. So when you're talking to an energy that's shouting your name, it should actually answer you back in some capacity or another. Now, when we're talking about answering back, what we have to understand here is how are you perceiving that? Because many people will, because you're hearing your name shouted, want to hear the spirit world the same way. What you have to understand is the spirit world works in many different fashions. So it may be that you are hearing your name shouted, but they may be then answering you back in a different way, i.e. a feeling, i.e. an image, i.e. a smell, i.e. another sort of knowing that the spirit world's there. So for me, Sarah, when you say they don't answer you back, first you've got to ask, are you trying to get it in just one way? So do you need to open yourself up a little bit more to accept that there may be another way they're communicating with you? Two, if you are asking the question, have you moved your mind enough to the spirit world to then get the answer back? That's the next question you've got to ask yourself. And then the next question you've got to ask yourself is how much of you is involved in there? How much of Sarah is involved in hearing of your name? Them types of things. So there's a couple of elements there, Sarah, to that one. I would be interested to see if they are communicating in a different way. I get the feeling they are. You just haven't, what I call, cottoned onto that, which a lot of us mediums, it takes us a while to cotton on to the spirit world, i.e. in symbols, i.e. in that certain sort of touch, that certain sort of feeling. It takes sometimes us as instruments a little while to become aware that that is there. So what I would say is it'll keep being repeated and it'll keep being given to you till you recognize it and go, right, I get it. So have a look at them couple of terminologies. Let me know what you think, Sarah. Another Sarah's in. Good evening, Sarah. Hi, how's you been? I'm really, really well, actually. Thank you very much. You know, as I say all the time, and I'm a busy woman, you know, I got a lot on with, you know, training, development, you know, whatever. But yeah, I'm really, really good. Thanks very much. And, you know, I'm a half cup kind of girl. I'm not a half empty kind of girl. I always try to find the best in everything, even when it's not always working out my way. I got to be honest with you on that one. Anyway, so I hope I answered the question a little bit there for you. Sarah Hall's asking, hiya Danielle. Hello, Sarah. Sandra, sorry. How many books do you have published, and is it best to buy them from Amazon? So I have 2 published at the moment. One you cannot buy anymore. It's become discontinued. So anybody who does have a copy of that, it's a limited edition. There will never be another copy of that book reproduced. The other one you can get from Amazon. I have some copies at home, so if you're in the northeast of England, or if you're in the UK, or even if you're abroad and you want to get in touch with me, I can actually post them out. I've got some copies left down there, so if you'd be interested, I can certainly post that to you. Or you can just get it off the digital platforms. Either one works for me, Sandra. I hope that answers your question. There will be a third one at the end of the year, so hopefully that'll help you out there with that question. So anyway, Lasha Mark is asking, thank you. I've been able to call spirit forward, great, but have trouble sensing spirit otherwise. So can I call a loved one forward, but otherwise I'm not able to communicate? So it's a bit like the question I've just answered there with Sarah's. When we're bringing the spirit world forward, what we have to become very, very aware of is that we want it in a certain way. So we want the communication in a said way, because that's how our mind wants it. What you have to understand is that the spirit world is going to give it in the way in which that they think is best. So what us as the instruments, I did a video on this, it's called adapt. You've got to learn to adapt for the spirit world. You've got to learn to move around. You've got to learn to move your database around and your point reference, so that the spirit world has as much of the mind as humanly possible. So in answer to your question, you can call them forward, but you can't communicate. You probably can communicate with them. They're just communicating in a way that you don't quite understand right now. So what they're asking you, and this is the instrument, it's always the instrument, what they're asking you is to develop another way. They're asking you to look again at how you do your mediumship, how you're communicating, and can you broaden, because what you have to understand when we're doing communications, every communication's different. And I say this to mediums all the time, never get stuck in where your mediumship is, where you only want it clairvoyantly, or only clairaudience, or only this, or only that, because every communicator who's coming through communicates in a very different way. So it's your job as the instrument to find multifaceted, adapted ways to communicate with them so that your broad range is massive, so that you have a database full of different techniques and different ways that you can work with different communicators. That sounds to me like development. That sounds to me like the spirit world's trying to develop your mind. They're asking you to look again. They're asking you to find another way in order so that you are building a bigger, broader, what I would call development. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you. Sarah's saying, that's good, thank you. Silver's saying, I watched you live on Facebook recently where you were getting odd personal questions. Is that a frequent thing? Silver, I hope not. I hope not. It happens from time to time. People's not only interested in me as the medium, but also as Danielle the medium. And you know, from time to time, I get interest, you know what I mean, you know, and but I, like I said on Facebook, and I'll say on here as well, Silver, I tend to keep my personal life very private. Once over, I was a very different woman. Now I don't talk about anything like that. I don't get into it. It's not the place for it. It's not the place that I feel it's warranted for them types of things. Does it happen often? From time to time. I mean, I have 3 or 4 different platforms I work across, you know. It happens. I've got to be. Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Yeah. It seems to be more private. Like people will message me. Not so much outright, like just asking me them types of questions. But yes, from time to time, it does happen. I try to ignore it to the best of its ability, but you know, I have a thing now. Ask me something once, I'll answer it. If you ask me it again and I have to answer the same question and I've already given you an answer to it in regards to personal questions, I then just sort of like cut it off because I just, it's just the way I work now, I've got to be honest. But so from time to time, Silver, from time to time. Sarah Owens is saying, I've got your book, I've been doing meditations again, I'm seeing this eye, but I'm trying to move my brain to go to the spirit world, I just can't do it. Well, the best of luck with you. You know, it will come and things will get better. I say that about all development. You know, everything's constantly evolving, everything's constantly moving forward, and it will get better. Where you are right now isn't the finished result. It isn't the end result. Even when we go back to the spirit world, we're still altering, learning and developing. So the road is it's a long road, it's a long journey, it's a journey that you will sometimes hate and sometimes you'll want to give up, and then there's other times it'll feel like it's just coming so naturally, it's unbelievable. That is mediumship. Mediumship is, you know, what I call ups and downs, ins and outs, A to Z, Z to Q, you know, Q to P, you know, and then back to A. My development was like that. I can't say my development was, you know, a straight road. It's been very sort of up and down, back and forth, in and out, you know, etc, etc, etc. So take that from somebody who's sort of walked that path and still walks that path to this day, and know that you're not the only one that's developed. I think with development mediums, including myself, I think we think that others have got it in the bag, you know what I mean? They're not having the drama or the issues in regards to like the spirit world or their development or whatever. Yet when you actually get talking to lots of mediums, lots and lots of people have had, you know, ups and downs, and, you know, still even as far on in the journey as they are, they still have things that they're learning, altering, changing and progressing in. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, Sarah, honestly, and don't panic, because sometimes I think people panic when they think it's not quite lining up. I always take that as an opportunity to ask, what am I learning here? What's new? What can I gain from this experience? Because everything that you're doing for the spirit world in some capacity is a learning experience. You're gaining knowledge. So when you're not quite making that connection, or this eye, or, you know, whatever it is, think, well, what am I learning here? What are they trying to teach me? Look at it from that standpoint, rather than, oh my God, this isn't moving forward. Oh my God, this, and this, you know, etc, etc, etc. So, you know, certainly check that one out, and certainly keep the faith. Definitely keep the faith when you're doing development. Keep the faith. It'll work out, I promise you. Sarah's saying, okay, thanks, Danielle. I know the voice of the loved one that's passed. The past one is only I don't recognize. Okay, fair enough. So it could be that now because you're interacting with loved ones and stuff like that, you know, once we start working with the spirit world and we're working with our loved ones, the spirit world become aware of that, and they start to become aware that you are shifting your mind to the spirit world, which then they then think, oh, okay, right. So that, because again, using the intelligence, here comes that intelligence in, as I was talking quite earlier on. The spirit world's always wanting to communicate. They're always wanting to talk. They would talk 365 days of the year, 24 hours a day, because ultimately they never sleep. They never stop. The only person that stops is the instrument, because the instrument doesn't have, it doesn't have, we kind of run on that kind of power. You know, that kind of power only survives for so long. And then we have our day-to-day lives and other things that come into play there. So when we start getting into the use of the intelligence, when mediums and instruments start using and moving their mind to the spirit world recognize that. So what they then do is they start sending loved ones. Do you know what I mean? They start bringing loved ones that may be using the intelligence around and about you to give communications. The spirit world's very smart. They're very clued up. They know where their loved ones are. They know what mediums are working in, what parameters, and how close can they get to that mind in order to be able to give that communication. My answer to you would be, it could also be a guide. That's another thing you've got to start looking at, because as you move your mind, you don't only access the loved ones, you access the spirit world, which accesses the guides who may be around and about you. So there's a few different things going on there. Like, Sarah, I've got to be honest, best thing to do is test it. So if you're not getting anything back and you're still trying to alter and change that development and understand it, why don't you test it? Why don't you ask that person whose voice you don't recognize to come in a dream or send a penny or whatever, and sort of test that intelligence, again, using the intelligence that's available within that said energy. So I hope that answers your question, and a few hints and tips there for you. Not a problem, not a problem. Louise is in. Hello, Louise. Sarah Owens is saying, I'm on my waiting as well, so I work on myself loads. Yeah, it's part and parcel of the journey, something I talk about, you know, massively, I've got to be honest, with regards to, you know, development, and something I've screamed about on this channel for a long time, is that we're not just on a mediumistic journey, we're on a spiritual journey as well. There is going to be opportunities and probably times where you are going to have to address the instrument. You're going to have to address what's going on with you as well as your development. It comes part and parcel, hand in hand. As much as development you'll do as the instrument, you will need to do development of personal growth to look at how you are moving forward as the individual. As I've said before, there's many mediums in the industry, and some brilliant, amazing, fantastic mediums. But there's very few what I call spiritual people, and that's, I think, an important part of mediumship, that we're a spiritual person as well as the medium. It comes hand in hand. So I appreciate and I can understand that one there, Sarah. I've got to be honest with you. So Melinda, I hope I've got your name right there. Sending you so much love and light. Oh, that's very kind of you. Cheers. I'm struggling with keeping the connection. Okay, so holding the blend. Yep. Any suggestions or tips would be great. I missed your beginner's class by minutes last night. Beginner's class last night. Yes, I did have a beginner's class going on. There is another one coming up in June. If you're interested, certainly do get in touch with us. So holding the blend. First, you've got to find the shift. And then the rest of it is teaching the mind to stay there. So there's a couple of different techniques that I use, which is in my blend class. So I couldn't obviously give you them on here, because ultimately there'd be no point in the girls and the fellas who paid for the blend class. But there's a couple of different techniques I can give you there. What you're going to learn to do is train the mind to keep going back to the same place, and to learn to work from there. And again, there's a few different techniques that I can give you there. My advice to you would be, just keep sitting, keep looking for the spirit world, keep going back to the same place in which that you find, and stay there. And what you tend to do is when you first start doing it, you'll only be able to stay there for a couple of minutes. Learn to time yourself so that eventually you learn to stay there for 10, 15, 20 minutes, 35 minutes, an hour. You've got to learn to discipline the mind and teach the mind to stay there. And even when the mind needs to come back to this world for a yes or a no through private sittings or development, what you have to then do is learn not to come completely back. It's sort of learning to what I call plateau, so that you have one foot in this world and one foot in the spirit world, and you're just sort of moving backwards and forwards. But 9 times out of 10, always stay in the spirit world. You only move backwards and forwards if you're getting yes, no's, maybes, that type of thing. I'd like to give you more on that, but I'd be telling you all about the class, and that's I'll have a riot on. I've got to be honest, it's gone blurry. I'll have a riot on, so I hope that helps you a little bit there. I've got to be honest with you. Let me know how that's looking there, Vicky, won't you? Okay, says Sarah. Silver's saying thank you. I'm considering having a stage name, which I know is an old school, but it gives a separation. I don't know what to do about all of that. I've got to be honest. I mean, some people use their own names. Some people choose not to. I think it's a personal preference, Silver, in that capacity. For me personally, I'm a sort of an open book. What you see is what you get. I ain't got a great deal to hide. A few bits and pieces I keep to myself because it's, it's important. You know what I mean? I need to keep them types of things. So there's some things I need to keep to myself. It doesn't need for, like I say, social media platforming. I don't know. It's a personal choice. That one. I cannot say one way, nor the other way. It's not my job to that one. It's more of a personal choice. Let me just take a look at this camera a minute. It's been dead temperamental. I don't know what's the matter with that. And it wasn't like this when I got it. But there's a story around that. There has it come back into focus? Yeah? I think it has. I hope it has. Let me know. Let me know, Vicky. Let me know how that looks. It should be a little bit better now. Are your classes all full? My beginner's mentoring is all my 6 weeks. I've only got 2 spaces left on them. The blend class is chocker. It's sold out. I've got a waiting list for that. The Let's Talk is busy. Numbers and letters are busy in all honesty. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I've got to be honest, I don't hold big classes. I've said this before and I'll probably say it again. I'm not saying that what I'm doing is right and what others are doing is wrong. I'm not saying that at all here. I'm a lady who likes to give lots of attention to the students. I like to get the students where I want them. I want my students to be better than me. And that probably sounds a little weird to people, but I genuinely do want that for my students. I want to see my students go out into the public, go out into, and work, in the mediumistic parameters. I have some students who are already out there doing them things. I have some students out there who are working professionally, and I believe that students need as much of my time as possible. So I tend to keep my classes very small. Most of my classes are only 12. That's only on. The mentorships are a lot smaller than that. I don't hold big amounts of students. And lots of people say, well, it's all about the money. I'm not interested in the money. I'm interested in making sure that the students go out there with the best possible development that is available to me at that time, and with what I have available from the spirit world and with that student. I've got to be honest with you on that one. So for me, that's probably why my classes look so busy all of the time, because I just won't oversell them, and I won't stuff millions of people in them just for the hell of it. It's not my thing, and I'm not saying that anybody's doing that, or I'm not digging anybody out or like that, because I'm not. I'm just talking about it from my viewpoint. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you. Vicky saying, nope, still blurry. Well, it doesn't look blurry from where I'm sitting, but let me know, Vicky, won't you? Rachel's in. Evening, Rachel. Hi. Hi. Hello, darling. Can souls be very close to passing, hovering between life and death communications as spirit? Just give me a moment, sort my nose out. Hovering between life and death communications as spirit, or is it still psychic? I've heard that spirits start to leave and return at the end of life, or is this a myth? Another great question, I've got to be honest, and one that I've got to be honest, there's a lot of different terminologies out there. And this, I think, Rachel, to be honest with you, is going to be a personal preference of what you believe and what you don't believe. What do I believe? I believe that anything's possible. I've got to be honest. I believe that at the end of our life, or very close to the end of life, you know, I've seen many different things through the background in which that I have, and the background knowledge that I have prior to being a full-time medium. And I've seen all sorts of, you know, very interesting things, Rachel, I've got to be honest. Some of it's unexplainable. Some I don't know how it's even possibly happened. Other things, I think, yeah, that there's a logical explanation for that. For me, I personally believe, and I have seen it, you know, where, you know, people who have been very close to passing over are shouting for mum and dad, and they're saying that mum and dad's in the room, you know, and all these types of things. And have I seen people running up and down corridors and all sorts of stuff, especially on night shift? Yeah, definitely. Have I seen them going in and out of the rooms in which the people are about to pass over? Yes, is the answer to that question as well. So for me, is it possible that the spirit world's there? Yes. Do I believe that people go over with people from the spirit world? Yes, I do. I do not believe that anybody leaves this world on their own. I categorically, hands down, believe that. So in answer to your question, it's a personal choice there, that one. Some people say that it's absolute nonsense, that, you know, the soul can't communicate because it's got to be in the spirit world. And you know, the person's still living, so that just totally wipes it out. And you know, there is no black and white. There's no grey area. It's black or white. There's no grey area. I'm always looking for the grey area, and the grey area is probably where you're gonna find the most answers. And the reason being is because you're then having a look at the bigger picture of what could be possible. Is that possible? If so, how possible? And there's lots of things, Rachel, that, you know, I still don't fully understand in every capacity. And that's why I said, you know, I don't have all of the answers, and some things I'm going to answer here on a personal viewpoint of what I deem to be right, if this makes sense. I'm not saying it is right, I'm just saying from my perception of my mind, of my reality, and the things that I've seen in my own world, would lead me to think that. So for me personally, do I believe that, you know, the return home and come back? Yeah. Because really, in all honesty, we do that every day when we're working for the spirit world. We're moving our minds backwards and forwards from the spirit world. So why couldn't that be possible at the end of life? Especially when the spirit world's so very close, closer probably than they are even when we're doing communications. So yeah, you know, there's every possibility, and I do believe that that does go on, and I do believe the loved ones do come, and I do believe that the people who are passing over do see them as well. And I think, to me, I would hate to think that my nana had gone over there on her own. I'd hate to think that my son had gone over on his own. You know, that's fear-mongering people, and that's not really what I'm into. You know what I mean? And do I have any, you know, scientific proof on the question in which you asked me? No, I didn't. It's just a personal viewpoint, and I suppose a little bit of hope. Does that make sense? A little bit of trust, and a bit of a comfort, I suppose, in knowing them things. Even, like I say, even though I've got any scientific proof of it, you know what I mean? It's a comfort to me to know that, you know, people were there, and a comfort that they come to get people, and, you know, all them types of things. And I think sometimes in life we didn't really need scientific answers. We just need the reassurance and the hope and the comfort that everything went according to plan, which it always does. So I hope that answers your question a little bit. Again, it's a personal viewpoint question, that one, Rachel. It's open to interpretation. How you perceive it, how you'll hear it from other people. My answer is, take what resonates with that question, dump the rest. Work with what sits comfortably with you, put the other stuff to one side. Maybe it needs to be looked at further down the line. I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you. Sarah Owens saying, my mind makes up a room for the spirit world, so that's what I think the spirit world looks like. Is that okay? It's not about whether I think it's okay. My question to you is, Sarah, does it feel okay to you? That's the biggest question you've got to ask yourself. And this is one that I always want to say to students. It's not what I think. It's what you think. Does it feel right to you? Does it look right to you? Does it just sense to you that it's right? If it's right, go for it. It's person who shares knowledge. It's not my job to tell you it's right nor wrong. What I'm here to do is to guide you to look at it yourself. I'm there to hold your hand while you explore. Well, then there you go. You don't need my validation. That's disempowering mediums, and I didn't like that. I like to empower mediums. I'm empowering you to get comfortable with your own trust and your abilities. It's not if I was to say to you, yeah, that's right, Sarah, you know what I mean? Well, you're not learning anything from that. So what I've done is I flipped it back at you and said, how does it feel for you? You tell me, and you're telling me it feels comfortable. Great, then you go with that, because that's empowering you to trust in your connection, your ability, your spiritual link, your relationship with the spirit world. We should never disempower mediums. What we need to do is encourage mediums to be the very best that they can be, while holding their hand and allowing them the space and abilities to grow. So for me, I hope that helps you a little bit there, Sarah. Go with what feels right with you. Not what I say, not what anybody else says. That's how relationships with the spirit world is built. It's only because you don't trust yourself enough that you're getting them feelings, you're hearing them words, you're seeing this, you're seeing that. Happened there for a little bit. So go with that. It's the biggest thing I can give any budding medium that is developing at this time. Go with it. If it feels right, it looks right, it senses right, go with it. And you only want to be looking at something when it doesn't feel right, or when it doesn't, picture's not quite right, or then start asking the questions. But if it all looks good and it feels good, go with it. Trust it. Trust that process. If there's one of the biggest things I can give you as developing mediums, is trust the process. There's nothing can go wrong for your development in respect of working for the spirit world. You'll get bigger rewards by just trusting in it and going with it than trying to get validation from somewhere else, because that's somebody else's validation, not your own. And then you start to build all the pretty things in this relationship with the spirit world and these things that everybody asks me so readily about. It's the biggest thing I can give any development medium. It empowers you to keep moving forward, empowers you to keep believing in yourself as that medium. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, Sarah. Meriden is saying, I went to register with your 6-month beginner class and you had posted it was full 6 months before on Facebook. Right, okay then. Email me. We can have a chat about that. Email me, my love. All right, and I'll see what we can do. I'll have a look and see what I can do with that one. I can't promise anything, but I'll certainly have a look. Vicky's giving a thumbs up, so I take it the connection's okay. Looks and sounds great, says Denise. Thank you very much. I hope you're well, Denise. Sue's in. Evening, Sue. She's saying she can't wait for the blend and shift the workshop. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be amazing. He's going to learn so much. I promise you. I'm not going to teach you. The spirit world's going to teach you. Sarah saying, kept my daughter up last night. I watched something terrible happen to my pooch, and it was heartbreaking, and I was awake and just dropping off, crying, trembling. Well, take it easy there, Sarah. Try to rein in your the fear, because from what I'm picking up, there's a lot of fear going on there. You're very hassled, if that makes sense. So try to take your time with that one. All right. Vicky's saying, have you ever thought about having a past life regression done to see if you were a medium in a previous life or lives? Do you know, I don't think I want to know who I was in a previous life. I got to be honest with you on that one. I've had enough time with the life I've got. You know what I mean? Without having a nosy run in, what I did in 10 BC or, what I did, 80 years ago. I've had enough time with this life, Vicky. I've got to be honest with you. I know it's very popular, past life regressions. I know a lot of people who's tried it. For me, it's not something that it's not that I don't agree with it, not disagree with it. It's just not something that I personally feel is important for me within my development, or in respect of something that I feel I would use within my knowledge base set. Do I have awareness of it? Do I have an understanding of it? Yes, because it's important as someone who shares knowledge. I have an understanding of that area, even if I don't advocately work within it. So, but for me personally, do I want to do it? No. No, I've had enough fun. I've got to be honest. I don't want to be looking around other lives and this, that, and the other going on. Oh no, no. But that's tickled my fancy there. But I do know ladies and gentlemen who have had it done and had some phenomenal, experiences and, X, Y, and Z. But for me personally, no thanks. I just say cope with the life I've got to be honest. Anyway, so I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you. Rachel's asking, yes, Rachel, sweetheart. Thanks, Danielle. Not an issue at all. I have this experience, but kept thinking it was impossible as far as I know it was not quite past, so glad it could be real. Again, like I say, and I've probably said within the thing, it's open to your interpretation. And that's the beauty, I think, with development, spirituality, anything under that umbrella, it's open to interpretation. It's no one's right, no one's wrong. It's only just different viewpoints. I say this about this all the time. There is no right development, no wrong development, just development that you need right now. There is no right answer. It's only where you believe to be right now. And I think when we start and look at spirituality, or we look at mediumship and the mediumship umbrella in them sort of awarenesses, we become very aware that it's good to have a mixture of different points of view. It's good to have a different awareness and a different side to the coin, because not one fits all, if this makes sense. Not one set of development is going to fit all. Not all one set of what everybody else does is going to fit this one, that one, the other one. So for me, I always want to see a bigger, broad range, and it's something that I tend to teach quite a lot. I have multifaceted students in my classes, from beginners right through to the more experienced medium, and they all bring something to the table, including myself. And for me, I'm always learning. I said this on Facebook, and I'll probably say it again on here. I'm always learning from them students, and them students are learning from them students. And you gotta remember that, and I say this all the time and all, my ego isn't that big that I can't appreciate another viewpoint lens. Now, had you asked me that a few years ago, I'd have probably said something completely different. But I had to go through a set of experiences to be more aware that there's more than one way. There's not one way is right, not one way is wrong. So for me, it's always about learning to accept what resonates with you, what works for you, and what empowers you as the medium, the development medium, or the medium who's been working extensively in the industry for some time, and how that can, inspire, and evolve your mind to look at things from a very different sort of, view lens, because it's important. That doesn't mean to say you should lose what you think, or it shouldn't mean that you shouldn't lose your understanding or your awareness of the spirit world. You just gain more knowledge or more understanding of them, that we have to understand as spiritual people that there's many different viewpoints out there, there's many different awarenesses, and that's okay. It's not about, like I say, right or wrong. It's just about having a bigger awareness and understanding. I hope that helps you a little bit there. Sarah Owen saying, yeah, it does. It does, a secure guy, and I've seen him. Good stuff. Well done, Sarah. Thank you. No problem at all. Vicky's laughing. You've got a good read. You've got a good read, Vicky, I tell you. Sarah saying, missed what you said. Sorry, Dan, I had to do food. You'll have to watch it on the rerun, Sarah. Watch it on the rerun, sweetheart. Meridin's asking me, is it possible to train our eyes to see spirit? When I sat in the power, soften my gaze, with the room looks cloudy and foggy and I see lines and lights. When I ask to blend, I see and feel the energy coming to me. Right, so is it possible to train your eyes to see spirit? Well, so I can't take credit for this. I have to take credit from another medium who gave me this. So have you ever heard of it? Internal clairvoyance and external clairvoyance. Have you ever heard of that? Let me know. So external clairvoyance is where you see the spirit world with your own eyes. Internal clairvoyance is where you see the spirit world within your mind. Is it possible, or is it in the mind? Hands literally disappear under the white blob. And the hands literally disappear under the white blob. Okay. So you can train your mind or train your eyes, but what I would probably say to you, it sounds to me like the spirit world's using your eyes as an external clairvoyance, and that is in my book. Actually, I wrote a section on that, so it is possible. But normally 9 times out of 10, there's some people who will see the spirit world within the mind and only ever see them within the mind, so see them only inside of here, like people, you know, come into them. Some mediums see them externally, so it means that you see them walking around, or you'll see them in rooms and things like that. Or you can actually do both, if that makes sense. You can have both. So my answer to you is more than likely the spirit world's going to find out which one works for you best. Can you possibly train the eyes to see the spirit world? I don't know of any. I don't know of a technique, and I've never been given a technique like that from the spirit world. I have to be honest. Normally, mediums either see them with their own eyes. I've just got this bad nail, so just excuse me. Either with their own eyes, or they'll see them inside of their mind. I haven't known that one, but that's not to say it's not right. It just means that I haven't seen that one. I've got to be honest. Somebody else may have seen it, but me personally, I have not. So, an answer in short to your question is I don't know. Maybe, possibly, maybe not. I don't know. I would need to check with the spirit world on that one. I've got to be honest. Ask me that question again. I'll check on it with the spirit world and with my team and see what they have to say. Maybe on a next stream, bring that question to me again. I can certainly have more understanding for you on that one. So I hope that answered the question a little bit, what use it was like, but you know. Sue saying, this is what I've experienced recently. Always internal until recently, and they're all in the room. So again, they're altering and changing the development. This is where mediums start to panic. Because it's been working such and such a way for such and such a time, and you know, it's all been good and X, Y, and Z, all of a sudden, it's all changed. And what happens is it sort of changes quite quickly. Mediums don't always get an opportunity to catch up with that, or the change happens and the mediums haven't cottoned on that change is been happening. And what happens is the medium or the instrument will panic and go, oh my God, what's happened? So the best thing to do is go with it, because again, it's another experience, it's another element of your development, which is then allowing you to grow and evolve as the instrument. Again, as a question I answered earlier, and probably throughout the stream I've answered, you got to appreciate that every communication is different. Every communicator works differently. Therefore, it's important that you as the instrument have as many diversities of your database in order so that you can do the very best for the spirit world. So if them things are going on, Meredith and Sue, my answer to you would be, what can I learn from this? What are you trying to teach me? Get excited. When things are going absolutely off the wall, it's not working out for you, etc., 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 that's when you're about to get the biggest level of development coming in. Because when you are in the midst of crisis and you're not quite sure what's going on and it's all gone a bit sort of haywire, that's when you're learning the most. Relish and get very excited when them experiences start happening to you, because you're about to take another step in your development. That's what's going on there. So my answer to you would be, yeah, it took you by surprise. Yeah, that's normally what happens. And normally there's a big step in your development coming. So normally when things go big, not quite right, or they sort of change from what you're used to, things are moving forward. That's what I would say to that. Things are going to start to move forward, and can actually move forward quite quickly. All right, so keep an eye out on that one. So let's have a look. Big Zad is asking, where do I start if I've had experiences over many years but no ideas of why or what to do with them? So there's a couple of things you can do. You can either get sitting for the spirit world, do it my way, and start sitting and just start working and talking to the spirit world. So I used to just ask loads of questions in my mind as I was sitting. You can go down the route of development, which is, you know, start booking on classes, courses, mentorships, etc., etc., etc. Or you could do a mixture of both. It's a personal preference there, that one. I cannot say one way nor the other is categorically right, but I will always go with the experiences in which that I've been through, which is most of my development, if not all of it, has come from the spirit world, with elements of bits and pieces here and there. Books I've read, I've said this before, been on a workshop and 2 residentials, which, you know, they were alright. I wouldn't say, you know, they did massive amounts for me, but I learned a lot from them in regards to me as an individual, you know, and I did pick up hints and tips, so I can't completely knock them because they weren't completely that bad, if this makes sense. So, you know, but was that the development route that I wanted to go down? No, it wasn't. But me personally, I did a lot of work with the spirit world. I worked with my guides, you know, etc., etc., read books. I do take development classes from time to time, just to... I do them because I genuinely like to learn, you know what I mean? And something will catch my eye. Like, for example, I'm about to do some stuff, but this is completely in trance. It's not in... mediumship development, it's in trance, and it just so happened to spring up, and I've been chatting to the spirit world about this and that and the other, and about, you know, what we're doing with that area, and then this popped up, and I said, like, you know, is this something that you'd like me to take a look at? And I thought, well, since it's turned up, it must want, and it was reasonably priced and X, Y, and Z, and I thought, you know, what you got to lose here, do you know what I mean? So I sort of went down that, I'm a way to do that. But that's, you know, just because that's a personal interest of mine. I genuinely like trance mediumship. I have a real passion for that, as I do for mediumship development. And it's always important that there's some things, there's a lot of things I can gain from the spirit world, and the experiences in which that I go through, and the students I take training X, Y, and Z. But there's other things that I do need help with. And like I said before, my ego isn't that big that I can't ask for some help. And, you know, I always welcome an opportunity for my mind to stretch and grow and alter. You know, and people say to me, well, you're a professional medium. And... and because, you know, my development doesn't stop just because I'm training others. Do you know what I mean? My development, if anything, needs to be at the very top of its game, so I have as much knowledge as I can possibly share with the next generation of mediumships. Now, you know, if that means that I have to seek some of that knowledge from somewhere else, then that's okay and well and good. But, you know, like I say, it's all about making sure that my instrument is at the very best of its game, and it's where it's meant to be. I don't know anything about anything of it, to be honest. It's completely new to me. I can feel physically and just feel but not communicate. It's a personal choice there, big ass. I gotta be honest, it is a personal choice. It's up to you whichever way you want to go. My advice, if you really want to dip your toe, head for an open circle. So I do open circles, they're free, I don't charge anything for them. They're on my website, www.daniellethehappiemedium.com. Come along there, and then I can have a look to see what's going on, and then maybe get you to try, and I'll sort of hold your hand a little bit, you know, etc. If that's something you're feeling and it's sort of working for you, maybe do a few more, and then maybe look at doing some development. You know, open circles tend to be a good starting place for me personally. You're with like-minded friends, you're with people that, you know, sort of get you. I'm not saying my circles, there's loads of circles online now. I don't know where you're coming in from, whether you're coming from the US or UK or whatever, but there's massive amounts of them out there. So maybe try an open circle first, and then maybe look at the development. Sit on a regular basis, pick out a certain day and a certain time, 2 to 3 times a week, and maybe try a couple of open circles. Yeah, try that. Then you're not, I wouldn't say you're not dedicated to anything then. You're not tied into classes and stuff. You can sort of come and go from it, and I think that might be a little bit sort of, and maybe even if you don't want to get involved, you can just sit and watch what other mediums are doing and think, yeah, I get that, or that's what I do, or, you know, etc., 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 which then might make you feel a little more at home. So try that one first and then take it from there. But definitely sit. Definitely, it's important. It's an important part of your development. Sarah Owen saying, yeah, when I was 17, I seen them with my eyes, and now I see them inside my mind. It's probably too scared to see them all the time. It's a personal choice there as well, continuously evolving. Silver's clairsentience healer. She sees, well, she said I, but it must be a she because I want to say she. I see spirit very occasionally. Oh, okay. That's everybody works differently. Every medium's unique. I've said that 1,000 times. And for me personally, I would want to see that uniqueness. I'd want to see that individuality. Otherwise, you've just got thousands of clones out there. You know what I mean? All doing the same thing. Well, that's not good. You know, we're all individual, as every communication spirit world is individual. So nice of you to recognise in them types of things. Sarah, do you think that just meditation is okay to do every day? Or should we be doing other things to practice? Me personally, I would be sitting on a regular basis. I'd be practicing on friends and family, or I'd be getting in open circles. That's what I would be doing, me personally. But that's because that's what I did. You know what I mean? But I did a lot of development with the spirit world. You know, I've spoke about this before, speaking about again. You know, I worked extensively with the spirit world and learned a lot through different developments. I mean, I developed a lot of my clairvoyance with the spirit world, with the gentlemen in which that I work with. I was very blessed and very honoured and very humbled to have the gentleman I do. He's a, yes, I'm a female. This I just went she, and normally when I say she or he, it tells me what's behind the I. Anyway, but there you are. The spirit world must have made that aware to me. You know, I did that. I did a lot of that development with my guides, but not everybody's going to do it that way. I appreciate that. I mean, I give massive amounts of my time, just like every other medium. I'm not saying I'm any different than anybody else. But in the beginning, I gave massive amounts of it. I was in there all the time. I was sitting constantly, you know, 2 and 3 and 4 times a day, all of the time, because I was learning so much. That doesn't mean to say that my way is the right way, you know, and I'm a great believer the spirit world has many bits of knowledge. They're very clued up. They have they have an awful lot of knowledge over there. If you can access that knowledge, if you're prepared to give the time, if you're prepared to do the sitting, if you're prepared to trust and empower yourself to believe that what you're given is true, right, and accurate, and do not question it beyond a shadow of a doubt, which I think for a lot of people is very, very daunting, especially when you're newbies. But you're no more new than me. And I say that to my students and to you as well. I only know what I know because I've walked that path a little more. That doesn't mean to say that I know any more than you do. It just means that I'm further down the path than you are. But I've seen beginners, as you class it, so we put the terminology of beginner on. I've seen beginners pull amazing evidence. And yet I've seen people who've been in the industry 40 years pull very mediocre. It doesn't, time and them types of things don't really play a part here. It's how dedicated you are to your development. How dedicated are you to sitting? How dedicated are you to trusting in the process? That's going to get you a lot further down the line. Yes, do you need like-minded friends? Yes. Do you need circles and stuff? Yes, of course. Because it's important that you mix with people that are on your wavelength, if this makes sense. But for me, the way I did it will not be for everybody, and some people will have to go down that class route or cannot sit. That's another thing. I covered that in my book. Some people cannot sit for the spirit world. They cannot sit. They can't get them types of things. So while we encourage and always promote meditations and sitting in the power, some people can't. So therefore, they're going to have to do that development route. They're going to have to go down that road because there isn't any other avenue available to them. So in answer in short to your question is me, sit, get a bit of practice in. Practice is the biggest thing. Practice is going to make it more or less perfect. Never make it 100% perfect, but it'll make it perfect. Because you're going to be putting yourself in situations where you've got no other choice but to do the communications for the spirit world. And then you shock yourself and you're like, yeah, I'm getting that right. Right, let's go back and see if I can get some more, or I'll try another one. Practice sitting, little bits of development. Take your time when it comes to development. Again, the development is only a development that is given through that instrument who shares knowledge, and it will work for many, but it will not work for all. Picking person who shares knowledge is a personal thing. It should not be done because everybody else is shouting about them. It's because you look at this individual and go, I like you. You've got something to offer. I believe that I was guided to you for X, Y, and Z. And that's normally where we're allowing the spirit world or the people who monitor you and help you. You are never alone. Ever. You never not have a guide with you, a helper or a loved one who's trying to guide you. Pick your people who share knowledge in that capacity, not in the other ways. But that's just a personal checklist that I would give you. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that it's one that if I was to go down that road, I would pick that road because of said things, because I was guided there, because I felt this instant pull of that person off. I thought, God, they've got something, i.e., for example, as I've just said about the trance. I'd just been talking to my team about it, and they said there was things coming. The next thing I know, here's this advertisement. That's what I'm talking about. That's where the spirit world is listening and has used the intelligence and has now given me something in return and said, go here, look at this. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there, Sarah. Alicia's asking, what's the difference between trance mediumship and regular? Trance mediumship is a bigger awareness, a bigger allowance of the spirit world, and also what will happen is we will get what we call the spoken word from the spirit world. So there's an opportunity to allow the spirit world more access to the database. There's a lot of what we do is in mental mediumship or ordinary mediumship is very much clairvoyantly inside of the mind. It cannot really be physically shown here to the earth. So it can be given and produced and yeses and nos given in evidential mediumship. Trance is where we actually bring it to the earth world. It becomes a physical element as well. So it's not just internally, it's also externally. So there's an element of two there with trance, where with only regular mediumship, it's just internal. That's it. There's no way categorically, unless the yeses and the nos are there to prove that actually is true, right, and accurate. Where with trance, there's an extra layer, there's an extra level of physical. So there's a physical element as well in there. So I'll answer the question a little bit there for you. Vicky's saying, would love to see trance mediumship just out of curiosity. I love trance. It's one of my favourite things. And you know, it's funny because many years ago, I said I would never do it, and here I am, large as life. You know, I have my own home circle and everything, but unfortunately, due to Corona and, you know, all them types of things, it hasn't quite worked out for me in that capacity. But it's a very big passion of mine. I'm passionate of that as much as I am as mental mediumship. You know, and I like to have my fingers in many different sharing of knowledge arenas, so that my knowledge base set's always growing. I'm always evolving as the instrument. But some I do because I generally enjoy them, and I enjoy mental mediumship. Trance comes under the mental mediumship bracket, but I generally enjoy them. Like, I've got to be honest with you on that one there. Sue saying, do you also work trance, or were you just looking into it? I do both. So I speak for the spirit world in trance. And I also do mental mediumship. I do both. So yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I do both. So Mugra is saying, I've always heard them, but wonder why lately when others with me, they can hear the spirit as well. Right. So you're saying that you hear the spirit world, is that correct? And then lately others with you, so are you talking about others as in other people who are sitting with you, or are you talking about others in, what's the others bit mean? They can hear the spirit as well, right? So they're hearing the spirit. So there's another element with trance as well. So I did a trance session over at Stockton Awareness Centre many years ago. And my gentleman come through, and everybody in the room could hear the music. And that is another element with trance. Everybody needs to say, you have to say sort of the same thing. Now remember, it's going to be it's sort of going to be interpreted through your mind, through your understanding and awareness. But Yeah, but everybody should more or less hear the same thing, see the same thing, feel the same thing. That's a good thing with trans. So that could lead me to believe that there's an external link going on there, which for me personally would be a personal opportunity to maybe develop an external level of your mediumistic abilities. So you're not just working internally, you're working externally. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you. Also, the spirit world might think that you're not paying attention, so they're like getting the other people in the room to get you to pay attention so that you listen to what the spirit world's saying to you. So maybe you need to listen a little bit more to what they're telling you. Everybody's just saying yes and thanks. Great. Sue saying, oh my god, that's me, not a chance. I've tried Transa. My hubby was interested. It's a really lovely experience. You know, it's a beautiful experience. It's such a lovely, warm experience. I find it very humbling. I've got to be honest. I find it a great closeness. I have a great closeness anyway with the spirit world, but that trance gives me another level of that closeness. It gives me another layer of an awareness, of an evolution of my mind, if this makes sense. And for me, it's like I've gone home when I do trance. It's like I've gone home. I like that with mental mediumship, but I don't know. There's something about that. Like it's hard. I can't even put it into words. It's a feeling. It's just something inside of me. It's just, I don't know, it's just something inside of me that makes me, I don't know, it's a feeling. I gotta be honest. Certainly check it out. Certainly check it out. Let's have a look. So Melinda saying, thank you for your time. Not a problem. And you're answering my questions. Not a problem. Your knowledge and support is invaluable. I'll be reaching to get the waiting list for your blend class and buying your book. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sue saying, I'll be too scared to allow spirit that much. See, it's not control. It's an allowance. Remember that. The spirit world never want to control anything. They're just asking you for a bigger awareness of an allowance of your mind. That's all trance is. A bigger awareness, like another level of consciousness, if you can appreciate that. The spirit world are really gentle. You know, they're really, really gentle. They bring such a calming experience to you. You know, when you understand that intelligence and you understand what we're doing there. You know, these types of things, and you understand that spirit world and that capacity, you never need to fear anything because they always have your back. And it's a current control to me. I'm not that keen on that word. I like there's more acceptance. There's an acceptance within you that there's a tangible, you know, we see spirit through mental communications, but we always are looking for something tangible as humans, and trance will give you that tangible experience, but it also brings you another awareness of that alteration of them altered states and that mind and that experience with the spirit world that's only for you, which I think is a beautiful opportunity to really look into that other side. So you know, I wish you should certainly check it out. I love trance, I've got to be honest. Let's have a look. Here's a saying, I've never seen you do trance. You've never seen me do it? No, because it's only indicated for my trance classes. It's not done in regards to anything else. I only do it in my trance classes. Apart from the other week, I was doing philosophy. I was showing the girls philosophy, and my gentleman decided to make a small appearance, probably a little bit more allowance than I would have allowed, but I allowed that. And he sort of popped in and sort of had a bit of a chat and talked very much about bits and pieces. But it's you know, I say it's him, but it's not him, it's me, because I allow him that closeness. But I trust him implicitly, if this makes sense. He would never do anything that would embarrass me. He would never do anything that he did that it was of any great danger to me. He's just not like that. So yeah, he did make an appearance. Yes, that was in platform mentoring last month actually. And then, but you know, it's been a while since we've done that type of work, and I'm itching to get back, and he knows I'm itching to get back, so I can appreciate probably why he probably allowed a lot more of that than I probably should have. But yes, he was very comfortable there, as always. Let's have a look. I can do trance, but I doubt I ever do it publicly. Well, that's the same with me, Silver. I've got to be honest, I'll never do it publicly. It's not my forte, if this makes sense. My forte is that I'm a communicator for the spirit world. I'm a message bearer, as they say, with elements of trance, with elements of sharing knowledge within me, and psychic ability and other bits and pieces that I do. But it's not what I would say is my first choice. But yet, the more I do it, the more I like it. I've got to be honest with you on that one. Like, Sue says, so the hubby was into trance, and one night they used his voice box. Yeah, that's what they do for the spoken word. One simple word, it was very emotional. Yeah, so the spoken word will come from you first, and then the rest will sort of follow on thereafter. Everybody seems to think that it's the spirit world who speaks first, but actually it's the mind's got to do it. So the mind's got to speak that word, and then the words will start to flow. So yeah, I can appreciate that. And sometimes I've said this about with communications, and I'll say it again with, you know, trans. Sometimes we don't need reams and reams and reams of evidence. You just need that one word to completely change somebody's viewpoint on mediumship, communications from the spirit world, and that we're never alone. It's not always about reams, and I say this to my students quite a lot. No, it's the evidence sometimes isn't enough. The evidence isn't enough to for that healing, for that support, for that bigger awareness. And sometimes one word out of a whole package full of big names and dates of birth and addresses will be completely put to one side, all because they heard that one word or heard that one sentence that was just categorically, hands down, no way you could know it. And for me, that's, you know, that for me is, that's what I strive for in mediumship. I strive for the evidence, but I strive for that. That's what I call healing. That's what I call connections. That's what I call awareness. When you find that it's a substance, it's an essence, it's an not an opportunity. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's so profound that it's like it's like a spark like goes off in the sitter. You see it. It's like, it's not even like an oh my god. It's like there's that element of, you've really got them, they're really there, and they believe it, and they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're there, and that's something I strive for massively in my mediumship. I've got to be honest. That essence, that sublimity, I suppose, is that sublime bit of just something, if you can appreciate that. So I hope that answers the question a little bit there for you. Sophia's a big one for me. Well, this is something that I don't care for, and I may not always agree with everybody, so this is sort of my interpretation. I've got to say to mediums, I say it quite a lot, you are not that fearful. And the reason you're not that fearful for is because you're sitting in development, or you're sitting for the spirit world, or you're doing something in regards to your development. Most people who are fearful run away. You only do one or two things when it comes to fear. You'll either back out, or you'll go in there all guns blazing. That's what happens. They're the only two reactions that come from fear. And the majority of students that I see, and the majority that I see in my classes and all the rest of it, are game in some way. They're game to talk about the spirit world. They're game to participate, even if it's only that much. So therefore, fear is not always the biggest thing that is the issue here. The biggest issue is you just don't trust. That's all it is. You don't trust yourself enough. That's not fear-based. That's just the fact that you don't trust yourself. If you're fearful, you wouldn't be trying to do communications. You wouldn't be trying to move your development forward. You would have stepped away, moved out, and thought, that's not for me. Thank you very much. Even though you're keenly interested, the fear will not allow you to sit in the room. So for me personally, and I do see an awful lot of that where fear's blamed, What you're then saying is that the medium's doing something wrong, because that's what you're really saying, because the fear's inside of the instrument. So therefore you're saying the medium's doing something wrong, and that there doesn't sit comfortably with me. I actively empower and constantly push students to be the very best that they can be. Why am I wanting to try and destroy mediums by saying, oh well, you're full of fear and you're stopping your development, you're doing this and you're doing that? Well, that's not right. No, that doesn't. Somebody's probably gonna hate me for saying that, but it doesn't make sense to me, and then you're whipping a medium, and a medium's already not. A medium's already worried that they're not getting it right. They're already sort of frantic that other people are doing better than them, and that's not saying that that's right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just, why would I want to then blame that instrument even more? You know what I mean? Oh, you're full of fear, that's why you can't do this and you can't do that. Nah, because if they were full of fear, they wouldn't be sitting in the room and they wouldn't even at least be trying. When you're full of fear, you don't try. You walk away. You'll step back. 90% of people step away from anything that makes them fearful, anxiety, stressed, whatever it may be. So I don't necessarily agree that it's fear. It's just you just don't trust. Trust is a completely different thing to fear. Completely different thing. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, like Sarah. So when you're doing trance, does your facial expressions change? Yes. So my face will change. People have said that, like, they can sense my gentleman there. They know he's there. They'll say, like, it looks as if there's certain, like, my hair will change. My hair, like, pull back. Lots of different things too. Lots of different things. My hands change. I look a lot taller because he's a lot taller than me, my gentleman. So yeah, there's lots of different things, I've got to be honest. I put in a happy memory in the resets of my mind when I do trance. Yeah, trance is just it's the same space in which that you use when you're doing communications for the spirit world. It's no different for me. Not for me personally. I'm not saying everybody's going to do it that way, but for me personally, it's no different. I got the same space and I do the same things. It's just there's been an acceptance there of me in my mind. Melinda's asking me, heard angels sing when I was young, so they are in my heart. Lots of people are good like angels, I've got no problem with them, I've got to be honest. In mediumship, I get names and dates and want to develop getting addresses. Working for years and was told that's why. Any ideas how? Worked relentlessly for years and was told that's why. Any ideas how? What are numbers and digits and stuff? I do classes on them. So there's classes of what I call mini workshops at a low cost budget, at $12.50 UK money, around about $15-16 US and Canadian, and around about, I think, $12 Australian money. And I cover all them subject topic matters there, because it is important that we do get the evidence in. But yeah, I do classes on that one there, so maybe check them ones out, Melinda, and see how they work for you, alright? Susan, yeah, and that's what makes it is, and that's what brings it into the physical realm, so into this world. Like I say, everybody's got to be more or less saying the same thing, or it's more or less given in the same way, if that makes sense. But as long as everybody's more or less saying the same thing or aware of the same things, then it's normally been a hit, I've got to be honest. Then if you get the evidence and the loved ones through, I mean, that's something that I was busy working on, so my fellow come through quite happily, no questions asked. We were then working before COVID of bringing the loved ones through, and we'd had a couple of experiences with that, but it wasn't as neatly packaged or as neatly as we would have liked it to be. But then obviously all that come to a grinding halt as COVID hit. Sue saying, I'm so sorry, I have so many questions. Melinda, listen to me. And I'm going to say this to anybody who may be listening. Never apologise for asking a question, okay? Because every question's valid and every question's important. Learn to say to me, thanks Danielle for taking the time to answer my questions. because you're not doing anything wrong, all right? So learn to rephrase that and look at it from a different viewpoint. You're not taking up my time. I'm here to answer all of the questions that are on the channel this evening, if I can, to the best of my ability. So don't ever apologize for asking me a question. Don't ever apologize for asking anybody a question, because it's important that you understand. But learn to rephrase your words so it doesn't look like you're giving your power away. So in future, when you give me a question, say, thanks very much, Danielle, for answering my questions, but I have some more questions. Would you be happy to answer them for me? And it learns to empower you instead of disempowering you, all right? Because you're apologizing for asking some things that's so normal, and you should never apologize for gaining knowledge nor learning anything, all right? So when you're ready, Melinda, type in the box. I'll do my very best to answer them for you. Sarah's saying, yeah, gonna have to learn to trust more. The past keeps popping up when I say spirit before, and it scares me. Well, the only thing that's gonna get you through that is trusting in the process, trusting in the fact that you are safe, you are secure, and you're always taken care of, always. And that's not a fear. That's a lack of trust in yourself. There's a lack of not trusting in who you are and what you're about. That's all that is, Sarah. I've got to be honest. There's nothing bad there. Honestly, there's nothing bad. I work spirit world all day, every day. I'm fine and fit. There's nothing wrong with me. And thousands of other mediums out there do exactly the same. So there's nothing untowardly wrong with the spirit world or anything of working with the spirit world. Okay, Melinda saying, I run my own free circle on a Tuesday. Yeah, I can't find one, so I made one. I can't afford to pay for one, disabled and lost for so people can start their own too. And I'm like, yeah, very true, Melinda. Like I say, my circles run for free. I don't charge anybody, you know, for the privilege of them. You know, when there were coaching circles, I did because there was knowledge and information. But to be honest, I still do that from time to time and there and now. So, yeah, I hear you. I understand all of that. You must be from the US, Melinda, are you? Just out of curiosity. Because I know that there's sometimes a bit of a problem in the US with circles and training and them types of things. Unless you're from there, Australia, like. My mother used to say, I'm not the dead who hurt you. I would agree to that, Sand. I'd very much agree with that also, yes. Any other questions? Oh, Jesus, it's my day off tomorrow. Yes. It's the only day off I've had this week. Any other questions, or are we all done? Melinda, you like to hit me up on Facebook. We can have a chat. So when is my next circle? This Tuesday coming. It's 8 o'clock UK time, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure about Pacific time. Well, it's 2:30, so an hour for Pacific. So it's around about 1 p.m. Pacific time, around about 1:30 Central Time, if I'm not mistaken. So hope that, Sandra, I will contact you about boot. Okay, Sandra, not a problem. So yeah, and that's you can get the link from my group. So I have a group on Facebook with lots of different things going on in there, so certainly check that one out. If you want the group link, you can hit us up on Facebook or Instagram. We can certainly give you that group link, not an issue. Let's have a look. Vicky's saying, or you can email me, not a problem. Via the website. The email connection is via the website. So Vicky saying, what is it you say knowledge is understanding? What is it you say knowledge is understanding for Melinda, and only where you get is a bias and Danielle's need bother? That's right, you've got to ask the questions in order to get the understanding of the knowledge. I'll be joining the open sales, that's absolutely fine, that's not an issue. Silver Songbird saying, that's so sweet, Danielle, I've been so much on these sessions. I'm going to ask you for my book from a bit. Nay bother silver, nay bother at all. Another silver, lots of silvers in. Do you think it's important for people to develop mediumistic abilities first and then transition to mediumship? I believe there needs to be a big understanding of awareness of energy. in understanding the shift of the mind and knowing that you're working with the spirit world and you blend. So, and answering short your question is yes. But I don't class it as psychic ability. I class it as people learning the shift and the blend and learn to hold their blend, which is very different from the psychic abilities. I don't believe that the spirit world is using your psychic abilities. As explained in my book and is explained within some of my classes. I don't agree with that. Now, I'm not saying what everybody else believes is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I just have my own mechanics that was delivered to me from the spirit world. I've told the story about the fella who come forward who was absolutely looked like the nutty professor. I got to be honest, I've never seen anything like it. And I've seen lots of different characters in the spirit world and different guides, but nothing like this. He looked like Einstein, honest to God he did, and he gave me these mechanics that I work with so readily within my mind and explained quite a bit to me and said he would come back at some point, which I'm sure he very much will. I don't believe that the spirit world is touching our energy. In layman's terms, you're working with two completely different frequencies of energy. Psychic parameter is you. You are a completely different frequency to the spirit world, so that straight away should tell you that there's something not quite right there anyway. My mechanics are very different, but that doesn't mean to say that mine are any better. I'm just saying that that's the way in which that I believe. I believe in teaching mediums to find the shift, hold the shift, and hold the blend, which keeps them in the spirit world. And then allowing the soul to link to the spirit world and use the database and the point reference. It's easy, simple, non-fearful, and non sort of what I would call traumatic, where when we start telling mediums that the spirit world touching energy and this, that and the other, it makes people nervous, and then you get into the realms of Hollywood films and stuff, and it just freaks people out. So I just, and the spirit world is, for me personally, we're meant to be empowering mediums, not disempowering them. We're not meant to be fearing mediums, and the spirit world communications are so natural, so humble, and so beautiful, so loving that I don't know why we're even looking at that parameter, I've got to be honest, but that's just my personal. But there should be an awareness of energy and should understand energy. You should understand your own energy, but you should also understand the spirit world's energy as well. So yes and no to your answer. I hope it answers your question a little bit there for you, Silver. Oh, I might have a join. Yes, by all means, Sue. Vicky's going to be there on Tuesday. It's busy. This circle is busy. I've had any amount of people in touch with me over that circle. And I used to run them once a week, but my schedule just won't allow it now. Like, I've got to be honest. I wish it did. But unfortunately, my schedule just will not allow these things these days. And things are continuously getting... It's alright. I can cope. It's manageable. I learn to manage things now much, much better. But yes, it's very busy. How many is in the open circle? I didn't have Vicky off the top of my head. I didn't. It's busy. I know that much. That's all I know. It's busy. Off the top of my head, I think about 20. That's off the top of my head. That's what I know. But that doesn't guarantee that people's going to turn up. That doesn't guarantee. That's just people who've shown interest. That's people who's getting links, etc. You can't get the links unless you either email me. And to be honest, I'm not that keen on giving them out via email. I prefer you to come in through the group. Just to keep the room safe, to be honest with you, because not that I've had any incidents like that, touch wood, because I haven't, but I just generally, especially when mediums are training, I like to know who's in there, even if I don't know them personally. I just like to sort of know who's in there so that it runs to the very best of its ability. I've got to be honest. But that one's on Tuesday the 9th, and then there's another one on the 16th. The emails or the connections is via the website. Certainly check it out. Certainly find me on Facebook and then message the page. We can certainly give you the group link, or you can email us and we will give you the group link also. So any other questions? It's raining here in the UK. Any other questions or not at all? Are we done for this evening, folks? Excuse me. So, how regular are the ATM? Like after Tuesday and the next, or are they up? But they're on the Facebook page, but they're also on the website. Everything that's either on the Facebook page, it's on the website. They tend to be regular. I try to make them as regular as possible. There's hours to a month. Hours. Definitely, but they will be on different dates. So for example, March's is the 16th and the 30th. So they complete your days, they're more the back end. But that's because I've got other stuff on in March. I've got things I need to do and I've got to be places. But yeah. And then in April, it's the 13th and the 27th. So again, there's always 2 a month. Always. Definitely. Without a shadow of a doubt. I always have 2. Best thing to do is either get with the website, get with the Facebook page, or get with the Facebook group. You're always going to be up to date then. Instagram as well. But again, you're more than likely better off on the Facebook page or the group. I've got to be honest. Right, I'm going to leave it all there with you lot for this evening. It's been a pleasure as always, ladies, gentlemen, and all those sitting in the background. Thank you very much for your time. Please, before you all jump off, give this video a thumbs up. And please, if you haven't already, do subscribe to the channel. I'll be back next Thursday, as always, with the live Q&A. Bring your questions along. And it's always a pleasure to have you here with me. Like I say, everything's available for you via the website and all them other places, and Facebook, etc, etc, etc. It is my day off tomorrow, yippee. And then I'm busy all over the weekend. It's always a pleasure to have you here with me. Thank you very much for your time, your energy, your questions, your opportunity to allow me to express myself as an individual and also to share knowledge with like-minded friends. It's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you all same time next week, Thursday. Have a great evening, day, wherever you are in the world. Big kisses from me and the spirit world. Bye for now.